What up, YouTube? My name is KarQ. We're back with another hot takes. It's been a long while, probably about a month and a half since the last one. Make sure to leave some more fresh hot takes, hopefully pertaining to the new heroes and the new direction of Overwatch since the February season began. But for now, let's begin with what we have stored up from old hot takes here, some new as well. First one is hot take. I think Mercy damage boost is a poorly designed ability. Fighting against a damage boost DPS is not fun or engaging. And for me, as someone who has played Mercy, I don't think it's fun to use just because you hold right click. I think if it was a resource like the amount of healing you do gives you damage boost, I think it would be more engaging. While I agree that it's probably a lot more engaging to give it a resource along with Guardian Angel having a resource, I think at this point in Overwatch, we would just be overcomplicating it for no reason and it would just upset more people than make the other half happy. Like there's a louder majority of players who play and enjoy Mercy for most of her iteration. It's usually not the damage boost that's the annoying part. It's probably something to do with the res. On the receiving end, of course, like playing against a damage boost isn't very fun for a lot of people. But I've always been the belief that while it isn't the most fun to deal with, I think I can think of like 5 more things that are more annoying to deal with. If I see a Mercy pocketed DPS, in my mind, I'm like, they're sending 2 people, okay? I think you're stupid as a DPS to challenge the 2v1 every time and then complain about it afterwards. Like, you have to understand that, okay, they have 2 people and there's a damage boost, so their damage is literally amplified by like 30%. I think having Mercy's damage boost on a resource would make it even more difficult to gauge whether it's active or not. All this to say, is damage boost a poorly designed ability? Yes and no. I think buffs and debuffs and modifiers like this can belong in a game like Overwatch. It's been 10 years. Use your brains. If you see the damage boost, don't engage as hard. Pressure them. Maybe manipulate their vision aggro so that you only challenge the Ashe with the Mercy pocket. If they're looking this way, then somebody else like jumps and shoots them the opposite way where they're not looking, and then maybe you can pick them off, you know? Like, that's how I've always viewed it, to be honest with you. Next hot take. No hero should have a perk against their counters, or all of them should. No in between. For example, Ball has a perk to block stuns, but Genji doesn't have a perk against beams. Well, Ball has a perk that's just a straight up barrier, which can block anything if used correctly, and so does Doomfist right now. And honestly, while beams are pretty strong against Genji because it goes through deflect, like that's your chance to disengage. I don't think it should be an all or nothing here. I do think some perks to help mitigate some weaknesses are totally fine, and Ball and Doom are traditionally really heavily countered because their hitboxes are much bigger, so they kind of get a little bit of a pass there, and they're the only tank. Genji has he has timing, he can dash in, he can deflect other things besides the beam and disengage, engage, and he can pick his spots a lot more freely than like a Doom or Ball, who pretty much have to go in eventually or else your team is going to fall apart. They are the tank. Now, if they added a perk that gave deflect, a perk that allowed him to deflect beams temporarily during that, I actually wouldn't be upset with that. The take is that no hero should have a perk against their counters. I don't think so. I think it's good to adapt to it, and then the enemy team can just swap off the beams, and then that perk is suddenly not useful anymore. You know what I mean? So I think it's fine. Hot take, anti-heal is not OP. If anything, healing is. The fact that anti-heal feels so powerful is due to 2 things. Your health bar literally turns purple and people know what that means, so it's easy to focus that one person that is likely panicking. The other, in my opinion, more important reason is that burst healing is extremely powerful in Overwatch 2. Okay, we can tell this was probably taken a while ago. Sorry, we had a long list of hot takes that have been sitting in a pool, especially episode by episode. If I don't use them or go through them, they just like get pushed to the next one. So this is probably an old one. Just off the top of my head, BAP's regen burst heals critical allies more. That's correct. Brickpack's burst heal now. Mercy has flash heal. Illari got burst heal from the perk. Plus, Wu Yang now has the second support with the heal boost ability. When people say healing creep, the actual issue isn't just the amount of healing, it's the lack of downtime. It's the amount of abilities that can heal you to full instantly. Yeah, anti-heal I would say is not OP because it's limited to a few hero abilities, but it's there because like it's like one answer to shut down like big, large bursts of healing. Now, again, this take was a while ago, and now that the healing passive or DPS passive, which reduces all healing by 30% as long as you have damaged the target, has been active in the game for the last month. I guess instead of answering this take, I'm going to ask you guys what you think of this this change thus far. Personally, I've been playing a lot this season. I have like 500 games in the past month alone. And I've definitely noticed it. I am a support player that it's much harder to pocket someone to full, and it forces me to be a bit more active and selective with who I choose to heal and whether I should just opt to shoot the enemy instead of just shooting the team. Because if I'm an Ana, for example, right? What is it, like 75 damage versus 75 healing if I shoot a teammate? If I shoot my teammate who has a 30% healing reduction permanently applied to them, that's like, I can't do mental math that fast, but probably like 50 healing or something, versus I can just shoot the enemy for 75 damage, assuming they don't have armor and whatnot. So the fact that there is that healing passive now allows things to die, which we don't want a Marvel rival situation where nothing dies because there's just too much healing in the game. Overwatch is already like tuned down quite a bit, and with this passive thus far, I just want to say I've been enjoying it a lot more. So again, I pose the question to you, what do you guys think about it? And again, from the top, from this take, anti-healing is not OP. Agreed. I also don't think healing is OP anymore, especially, but before the season changes, yeah, burst healing was a little OP, or just, I wouldn't say OP, it was just a little annoying to play around, that's all. Hot take, I don't care about the top 500 changes. I'm not top 500 and probably will never will be, and the details of it will probably be ironed out since it's brand new. So this is probably pertaining to the challenger score system. Yeah, again, this was it doesn't even affect 99% of the player base where they did the challenger score system. A lot of people who have been watching my streams in the past month don't even know that like it's changed at all. They're like, wow, KarQ, you're rank 50? And I'm like, well, not really. I just happen to play a lot and grind a lot because it's the new season. So I am outranking people who are in champion while not being in champion rank myself right now, but don't let the people know. It's not really a hot take. I understand most people don't care. That being said, they kind of have worked it around where you can actually change the filter on the leaderboard to actually filter by rank, and you can see the top player is like champ 2 right now, which is kind of still nice to see for those interested in rising up in the leaderboards in that capacity. All in all though, like I think as they continue to iron out, which they have, I think this challenger system is forcing high champ players to constantly queue. A lot of my friends are in champion and they are kind of queuing. Like they think it's annoying with the challenger score, but the match quality has gone up because they're less incentivized to play on alternate accounts, because it is worth something to play right now in champ. If the queues are shorter because no one's smurfing and playing in low GM, the queues will be shorter, the match quality will go up, and champ players don't just hit champ 5 and just switch accounts right away to camp the rank, because there's no such thing as camping. The challenger score incentivizes you to continue playing. That's the aim it was trying to solve. Of course, introduce some new problems with how it weighs it on the leaderboard, like I just mentioned, but overall match quality has gone up. I do get pulled into champ lobbies here and there, and like they're actually playing the game compared to previous seasons, like I said, where they just hit champ 5 or very, very champ 4 and they just swap accounts because it was, you know, not worth the queue time, or they didn't want to lose the rank. Hot take, well, this was from January. I don't think they announced the 5 new heroes yet, but let's see. Hot take, devs have not put enough emphasis on on making recent characters fun to play against rather than as. Venture, Freya, and especially Vendetta are frustrating to play against, even if they are balanced reasonably or can be in the future. Wuyong and to a lesser degree Hazard are amongst the most annoying in their role to play against. This is the same reason that Sombra gets all her hate. All these characters are very fun to play as, but very annoying to play against, even if they are not overpowered, and in some instances could even be argued to be underpowered. I don't really know how you would tackle like playing fun to play against. I feel like most people just don't like to play against heroes that either one-shot you or burst you or like CC you. But I think when you design a character, you should design it with the players' fun in mind, the players who pilot the hero, not so much against. And the reason being is because against, it's a team game. You're not always going to be in a 1v1 scenario. You have 5 or 4 other teammates, depending on the mode you play, to maneuver around their kit. And I think if you just if you like thinking too deep into the character development, where you're trying to like design their hero fantasy, like why are you carrying, like it's so hard to like consider it from the opposite end, because there's 50 other heroes you could choose on the opposition, and like they all interact with that hero differently. Like, you just want to like design your hero in that box and like where they stand and how they interact with your teammates first and foremost. Maybe you can have some consideration. Is this a little too annoying to play against? Do they really need like this super hard CC at this point in the game? But I think with the perk system and as Overwatch 2 or Overwatch has evolved, they actually are starting to reintroduce some CC, if you haven't noticed, over the past couple of years. Even though they mentioned they removed a lot of it early in Overwatch 2, now that the game has been out for like 3-4 years, like the newer iteration, and along with the perk system to help mitigate some of the CC and all these like debuffs with the healing passive, some of the stuff might be a little bit of a necessary evil, or else you have a little bit too much mobility creep and all this other kind of creep in other directions. Like Overwatch over time and balance is always going to be a push and pull of many different systems and things. It's going to only get more complicated as time goes on because we're always introducing more. We're never really taking things out at this capacity. Like somebody entering Overwatch in 2036, 10 years later is going to have 100 heroes and they're going to be like, what the hell? That's so much to learn. That's why like I don't even play Dota or anything like that because I know there's like 100 heroes and I'm like, okay, it's only ever going to get more complicated the longer I wait, but that's just the nature of it. I don't know why I started rambling, but this is to say with this take, I don't really think it should be a priority to emphasize how it feels to play against them as much as it is to just make sure the hero is fun itself, first and foremost. The one they really missed in both regards is Mauga. It's not even fun to play as, nor fun to play against. That's when it's bad. If it's fun to play as, okay, we can get away with it because we have some agency in the hero bans to just get rid of stuff that's a little annoying to you first and foremost. Okay, next hot take. This game needs to switch to stadium only and make it so you have to fight with 3 lanes with towers and small troopers as defense and change the setting to occult 1970s New York City. This is a big shout out to Deadlock. I see what you did here. I'm a big fan of Deadlock. I play a lot of Sinclair. Okay, next, hot take. Hitscan characters should never be hard meta. Hitscan characters are substantially easier to learn and also substantially more boring to play against. Especially recent, or console at least, mainly Soldier, Ashe, Sojourn are in at least 95% of my games in low GM. Even Tracer, who has almost always been somewhat meta, has seen far less significant playtime in my games recently. I disagree with this. I don't think Hitscan should never be hard meta. I think it's perfectly acceptable. We are a first-person shooter first and foremost, and Hitscan kind of traditional FPS style heroes are going to be more familiar with more people. Even if it feels like they're popular, it doesn't mean they're necessarily meta. And I don't think they're hard meta when you look at the game in the grand scheme of things. Like obviously you play on console and hit scans are going to be more prevalent because it leans more into it with the whole zimming and the aim assist stuff. So that's going to be no fun, but you got to look at the game from all aspects, right? It's played globally and metas are completely different depending on the region you play. Hitscan is like almost never really that meta in Asia. Well, I disagree with that. Well, here and there, but it's a lot of like Tracer and like Winston and fast-paced stuff. It's like Tracer Genji for a long time. Obviously Sojourn gets played and stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they don't play Hitscan, but it really just depends on where you look. And I think it's an issue if hard Hitscan heroes are just simply the best in all regions and all platforms, then you have a problem. But I think they're not necessarily like making a Hitscans just so they can be meta, but they are a good answer to some of the heroes. And then if people adapt and adjust and switch comps, like Hitscans can be jumped on. That's why this game is not all Hitscans. Like you can have Winstons and Divas and Tracers and the projectile heroes. You can have the Mizukis and all these kinds of, these are all projectile heroes and have a different kind of aim style, and they certainly do work in the game. Next, sizzling take. Ooh, okay. Orisa 1.0 was healthier than the game than Orisa 2.0. So we're talking about Overwatch 1 Orisa. Original kit had potential for clear strengths and weaknesses, good at range and bad up close. The counter to double shield should have been to rush past their shields and start wailing on them. The problem was, once you got past the shields, you had the fortified Orisa you couldn't headshot. You had a Sig with 800 HP, you had a BAP lamp to bail everyone out, you had Brig 1.0, and these were all fixable problems. Overwatch 2, Orisa is an unkillable block of granite when she's good, and boring as sin when she's bad. There's less counterplay to her abilities, nothing interacts with the spin spear except beams, and nothing interacts with Terra Surge, and Fortify is still Fortify. At least Bongo had some counterplay. One Fire Strike was enough to kill it. You didn't have to be Machiavellian smart to use it, but you had to think about where you put your Bongo. I don't even know if I said that word right. I don't know what that means. I disagree. I think Orisa 1.0 was so much worse than what Orisa 2.0. Orisa 2.0 introduced like skill shot with the spears and a lot more movement. You actually had to like, you actually get to move with the spin, and you can rush and brawl into people. You can sit and poke, but you can also rush in and spin, especially as the trade-off for not having shield. Now that being said, Orisa does have a shield when she gets her level 3 perk, and that can be really annoying, but at least the shield is a little bit more palpable, and she doesn't have the double shield or the other shield like a Sigma to play with, especially if you play 5v5. Now 6v6 Orisa, a little annoying, I won't lie, if you play like Orisa with the shield perk with Domina, or actually as a lot of people play Sigma Domina sometimes. But you're not wrong in the sense that the way to counter is to rush past the shield and wail them. You brawl into them, and that is it's the reason why Domina is actually quite easy to penetrate. I just realized what I said. If you push past her shield, you play Ram, you play Ryan, and you just get past her shield. She has no fortify, unlike Orisa. She's a lot more vulnerable in that sense. That being said, Orisa suffers from something called large hitbox. she's not that much of a problem. I don't even think she's very meta or not, and she's not very good past like a certain rank at this current time. She's safe and stable and good where she's good, but like whenever I see an enemy Orisa, I'm never like, ooh, like I'm super scared. It's just, I think a lot of lower rank tank players feel like they have to engage with the Orisa, and that's where they fall short. It's not fun if I play Queen or like a Roadhog or like have to constantly deal with this Orisa in my face, of course, and like that can be a little annoying, but you have to kind of like do your best to adapt around it. A lot of people just like to bash their head into the wall and go head on with what you're not supposed to go head on with. All that is to say, I still think Orisa 2.0 is infinitely better than the 1.0, where you just put the shield down, do a little suck, and then just shoot behind the shield, press fortify, and then repeat. Like this, at least the gameplay loop for Orisa allows you to have agency between sitting and poking and then just spinning in and then like chucking a skill shot spear, getting in their face. But like you have to be careful if you overheat, like literally not just when your resource overheats where you can't shoot, like you will actually just melt your hitbox, you blow up. People think she's unkillable, but she's so easy to kill. Like it boggles my mind sometimes. Anyways, the current success of 6v6 is only because tank has been miserable to play in 5v5 for months. As a flex player, I stopped playing tank for a while, and every time I want to go back, I immediately regret it. But as a DPS or support, I prefer the game revolving around a single tank. Interesting take here. Here's the thing with 6v6. Here's my absolute counter hot take to this. 6v6 is successful in North America PC only. It is an absolutely not popular queue at all in Europe, Asia, or on console in those regions as well. It is an NA thing, myself included. I play it a lot, right? And I'm an NA North American streamer, and a lot of streamers play it, and the high elo lobbies are filled quite nicely here. When you look at the leaderboards for the other region, it is a dead queue. That's not to say 6v6 isn't successful, but it's a little misrepresented. It really depends on the community and the microcosm you kind of follow. You know what I mean? That being said, tank has been, you say miserable in 5v5 for months, but like, I mean, this is a bit of an old take, right? I don't know when this was screenshotted, but I think tank is pretty fun. Like I've always enjoyed the 5v5 tank experience. I like being the raid boss, and I think tank actually has one of the biggest impacts in the 5v5 game mode format by far, because you have lethality and you have so much HP. If you pick and commit to your spots correctly, you will absolutely dominate. In any case, that's my take on that. Next hot take, tier 3 perks should be introduced. Tier 3 could be those bigger, more controversial choices like cast, flashbang, and may freeze. I do actually like Overwatch's current philosophy of making a choice and how that impacts the game. Agreed, I think we've evolved enough that we could actually add one more layer of perks to the game, especially super late. But I think that comes with the choice. I think we should, if you're gonna add tier 3 perks, you might have to speed up the rate you build up your perks, so at least people get them. Because right now, sometimes you do get your major perks pretty late, and that's also a good thing. But I also think you should be able to reset your perks in spawn. But like, you can't just like reset and choose the other one. It's more of a, you reset and you have to wipe it from 0 and start again. It's like you swap the hero that you haven't played, you have to build the perk up again. If you played a hero and you don't like those perks anymore, you can go back and spawn, reset them, so you don't have to do the cheese method, because there's a cheese method where you disconnect from the game and reconnect to redo your perk. Some people abuse that. You should just let people do it in spawn. There should be a cost associated with it, and the cost is to build it again. And then the next logical step, at least for me, is tier 3 perks. I like that idea. All right, let's do one more hot take here. Hot take, Sombra nowadays is the most counterable hero in the game, and constantly banning her to me is a skill issue. I'm gonna get flamed on this, but I will stand for it. Picking her and staying by your team members already helps yourself and your teammates in letting you know where she is, and you can melt her with so many abilities. She's not the most counterable hero, but she's certainly not as bad as she used to be. She's a lot weaker. Stealth is on a limited timer, so she's just like another like annoying hero you kind of have to like keep an eye on. And a lot of like Sombra is like almost never banned in my, I don't think I've seen like one Sombra ban in the 500 games I played this season. It was mostly targeted because the other team had like a specific Sombra player. That being said, I think Sombra is a lot easier to deal with than Tracer, because at least Tracer can get in and out, and it's the same idea. You have to be wary of a threat on the side angle. Your average player who's enjoying Overwatch likes to ban it, and you say skill issue because it's annoying to have to deal with someone on an off angle. They don't ban Tracer because Tracers aren't as lethal in like your average ranks, but a lot of people will ban Sombra because it's much easier to be invisible completely, get a hack and a virus off, and that is going to be more value at that skill range than like a Tracer one clipping you in high elo. You won't see that happening, you know what I mean? I think that's part of like the growing pains you have to have as an Overwatch player if you want to climb specifically. Like being able to deal with a flanker on an off angle is so important. And Sombra is just one of the archetypes that happens to have stealth, so like People just lose track of that. But like, for quite literally, Tracer is 10 times worse to deal with than Sombra past a certain point. So Sombra is actually the baby step for you. I agree. I think Sombra is not the most counterable, but certainly more counterable, and you can certainly deal with it. It says it requires teammates to let you know. That's also the thing for Tracer. You all should also like ask for help for Tracer, especially if the Tracer is good. You know what I mean? Oh, I was about to end, but this one looked a little spicy for the final take here. Ooh, okay. Promise you the last one. Hot take. People think that Overwatch focuses too much on competitive are just wrong. And if you don't like it, if it did, just leave and never come back. We need to stop normalizing colonizers, aka tourists, that don't love anything that Overwatch is about. So they demand that the game is changed to fit the other game they like, ruining it for the original player base. Basically what Blizzard tried to do with Overwatch 2 by catering to these colonizers that promised to buy millions and millions of Mercy and KarQ skins and stop playing after 2023 and never touched Overwatch 2 again. This is also one of those, like, this really depends on the community you're part of and listen to. At least for me, I don't think I've seen people say that Overwatch focuses on too much on competitive. I thought people had the opposite statement for the longest time, where Overwatch couldn't position itself in the market and they felt like Overwatch was a casual game. And then in the last year, when they added perks, hero bans and stuff, they really started to like move the needle. If this is casual, and this is competitive. Overwatch used to be more leaning more to the casual side. I have to mirror this, by the way. And lately, since that, it's kind of like, here's the halfway point. It's actually leaning closer to the competitive side than it's ever been. Now, I don't like to like label people as colonizers or game tourists here, but there's, you know, anybody who plays Overwatch is always welcome. Like, we don't have to gatekeep anybody here. That's another thing. And I don't think they're the voices that are demanding the game to be changed to the way they like it. Like, I'm not really sure where this is going. I'm gonna be honest with you. What do you mean Overwatch tried to do? You're saying Overwatch tried to cater to these colonizers and they promised them to buy. I mean, this just feels like you're just reaching a little too far here. I'm just gonna leave it there. That's a fun one to leave it off on. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.